Blog Talk Radio.
I saw a cloud today. I watched it change its shape into a dinosaur, a whale, a mermaid, and a plane. The mermaid was pregnant, and then it turned into a Doberman. And the Doberman just turned back into the sky. Then I saw a real plane flying off below, man, dropping toxic chemicals all over my town. There's to help us, but there's trying to hold us down and try and take away our clouds and replace them with their own crop dust downtown. They say it's the ozone, but they don't care about your home. They're just trying out new ways of population control. We're young and we're bold. We can throw away their laws and replace them with our own. And the story will be told of how the group of young adults who overthrew the throne shone the light on just how bright this world can surely shine. Utopia works conceptually, but even in reality, to overthrow the state, you've got to be in the right state of mind. I saw a bird today, I watched it fly away, and in my heart I knew I had to do the same. The town's really done to me, the streets felt rotten to me, and I still can't stand those goddamn fucking planes. But they're only flying now, someday they'll be bombing town. They already started a secret chemical war. They've taken all we had and still want more. Dire saturated with rain, I swear I'm not insane. It's going to pour. It's going to pour. So she is no foe, because the government can't bug anybody's home. But don't walk the streets alone. They might steal you in the night without your family being told. We're young and we're bold. We can throw away their laws and replace them with our own. And the story will be told about the group of young adults who overthrew the throne, shone a light on just how bright this world can surely shine. Utopia works conceptually, but even in reality, to overthrow the state, we all gotta be in the right state of mind. We all gotta be in the right state of mind. There's no telling just how far we can climb. We're just in the right state of mind.
Ain't that right? Isn't that right? We have got to be in the right state of mind. And that's what we're here to do today, once again, on Universal Truth Evolution on blogtalkradio.com. How's it going, everybody? We have going to have a fun time today, talking about all kinds of conceptual truths and whatnot about being in the right state of mind, and one could say, with a UTE friend of ours, Greg Von Haesler. So I think we have Greg here online with us right now. Is that you, Greg?
Hey.
How's it going, man?
What's up?
Oh,
it's going fairly well.
Cool. So I figured we'd just bring it right on. I think we're kind of we're definitely allies in this conscious wave that is now moving across everything. And so I figured we were going to have probably some great dialogue going on here. And so I figured we'd just let you go off on whatever you feel you're hot on, man. And so let everyone know a little bit about you, and let's take it from there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone that I've met so far within the Universal Truth Evolution group, definitely. And a little bit about me. I've been doing psychic work for about a year now, and that came after a big physical detox that I had working in Costa Rica. And I've been doing astrology for 9 years, and I've been on this path of awakening for about 5. officially. And it's been really tough, but very rewarding.
Absolutely, sure. Very cool, very cool. So what would you say was one of the catalysts to your awakening there?
For me, I think it was waking up to the truth of the political unrest in the world, that I was so underfed my entire life growing up in America and not being able to see it on television, and reluctantly found on the internet, which for me made me really, really pissed at first. So that's been my main motivation this entire time, was that drive, that force, because I was pissed off, to do something. And the irony is that as we're going, kind of into a plateau here, because it's been going on for so long, that it's not really anger that's keeping me going. And it's right now it's kind of about honor. And I think that is what is going to feed us into love going into 2011 here.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And that's, I think that's an important distinction you made there about the anger not feeling anymore. I mean, I think I've talked with this to many people, mystic to, the layman, about how just being a male, especially of this planet and Cab Human here, like the anger is like we're taught to cultivate that,
Yeah.
And it's like we're taught to use that to fuel our desire and our will, and so overcoming that programming is pretty fucking intense. So, yeah, man. So like when you're saying that it was difficult times, it's like I'm sure, and I think and I like shows like this personally because what it does is it grounds everyone in the sense that it's like we realize that. I'm not special. You're not special. No one's really special other than the unique consciousness that we're kind of observing, but we're all sharing like reality here. And so it's like these experiences we have as individuals are just very important to be able to relate to everything that's going on. And
it's like we all have a fractal piece of the puzzle, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, trying to brainstorm exactly, what I was going to say, because I'm pretty open-ended in regards to talking about all this stuff. But the main two things that I see right now in the truth movement is the masculine and the feminine, and they're kind of button heads.
Mm-hmm.
And like the masculine is the conspiracy aspect of it, the logical stuff, and that's what I think is the first three chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Then the feminine aspect is more so the ET phenomenon, the angels, the higher dimensions, and ascension, essentially. And right now, you'll see icons within the truth movement getting pissed off at each other when really both of them are saying really legit stuff, and they're both really great figures, equals. And people are, kind of swarming about that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. I mean, especially those who follow UTE here know we have had ourselves a little bit of a skirmish ourselves, in a sense. And we recognize, though, that it's part of this this amalgamation that has to happen to come to a sensus of reality, honestly. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, so. So yeah, but you're right though. It's like, and you're right. There's a lot of that energy is pervasive right now for sure.
Yeah, perfect word choice. The amalgamation, because that is really what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blending.
So yeah, and what is there anything in particular that you felt like just kind of going off on about right now? I like to present a open platform for our speakers to really just kind of go off, but really kind of just unbridled, because we don't like censorship here either, and we figure everyone has a chance should have a chance to express themselves in whatever field they want to profess in. So by all means, profess away.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Egyptian revolution and how that's affecting collective consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
And 2012 and what can happen then specifically. And also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of twin flames.
Oh, cool.
So, the Egyptian revolution, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm sorry.
Okay, that right now, because I have the whole definition of when I channeled from my higher self, as I talked about last time, was that I got this description of how the planet was going into an evolutionary process for some galactic reason, a scientific reason, that we were moving through the chakras, and in 2010 we were finishing up we were getting to the solar plexus, and in 2011, right now we're moving into the heart space, and it's an upward path which finalizes itself in 2013 and 2014, which has a lot of psychic cloudiness about it right now, because there's so many different paths that can be taken. But 2012, I do have some insight about specifically.
Cool.
And the Egyptian revolution is, in my opinion, totally correlated with people putting forth their solar plexus energy. People are revolting because they want to have that self-acceptance. That's a very common energy that many people are feeling right now, and Egypt is simply reflecting it.
Yeah, I can totally agree.
And as we see right now, that's kind of spreading throughout the Middle East, and there are other countries who are kind of starting to rise up a little bit. And I think it's also going to spread a little bit throughout Asia. And what I was seeing that was pretty phenomenal, in my opinion, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to come on and talk about this was that I see something, that energy coming forth to America in 2012. And, the whole 2012 thing, it kind of goes with that anyway. A lot of people are expecting that, so that might actually have something to do with bringing that manifestation forth.
Yeah, I it's interesting. This is cool. That I'm glad you came wanting to talk about this, because I've totally wanted to go off on this myself too in a lot of ways. So, I would love to get your thoughts on some of the current events too that are going on, and how they relate, honestly, energetically, like you're speaking, too. Like, for instance, how in Egypt, when they released the Google executive, I'm sure you've seen this, right? How they had put this guy in prison, and he was like one of the Google Egypt people, but how they recently released him, and how he was saying that despite all the crap that they're saying, that he's saying that it's not really like they're not really trying. The government installed right now, they're not really trying to bridge any kind of gap. So would you kind of say that they how would you say that energetic play represents, or kind of reflects in society at large, shall we say?
Well, I mean, the whole concept of organized government is getting a pretty big revision right now. And, specifically in regards to Egypt, that specific political scenario, I wasn't actually familiar. I've been watching it really closely, but the Google executives, I'm not really sure. There's so many different things. I mean, I was hearing today something about WikiLeaks. when it gets into real specific details like that I'm not familiar with, I'm not really sure what to say about.
Yeah, that's cool. I hear you. And I just, for me, like, one of my own observations is just like how I find it interesting that here we are on the internet, you and I, talking about this to create a dialogue about a new world. And it's like, here is this Google exec who's one of the first people they went after when they shut down the internet and such.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, and I find it metaphoric in a lot of ways, how I think a lot of people were looking to see what would happen when some of these people were released, these political prisoners were released, and what they would say, you know, and then too, like, what, I don't know if you had a chance to check, because this stuff just happened, so I totally understand if you haven't seen it yet. But like Anderson Cooper, how he just recently talked about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I saw that.
Yeah, did you see his report when he came back?
No.
Oh, he went off. You'll have to check it out, but yeah, he pretty much said the same thing that the Google exec is saying, and as you saw probably in those videos where he's getting beat up,
yeah,
where he's saying it's the Mubarak faction that's really kind of stirring the pot, you know.
Yeah.
And
well,
mm-hmm.
the whole thing about like people that are in the truth movement, you know, and then you have the government, and there's that conflict right now.
Mm-hmm.
And people just want to have a say in their own lives. That's why we are talking about this. We want to have the ability to do what we want, you know, say what we want, and just live in the way that we desire. As well as there's some kind of amazing shift happening right now, which has scientific implications, which I've briefly delved into, but very mysterious.
Yeah, definitely. And what's interesting is you mentioned the shift in in America here, because one thing that happened just yesterday, and it's perfect timing for this, is that Congress did not extend the Patriot Act yet.
Oh,
so,
I heard about that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and so
that's interesting that you said yet.
Yeah, because I'm a little cautious, you know what I mean, until I hear until I hear a unified, fuck you guys, you know, because it's interesting because apparently I don't know if it is interesting because you hear, did you hear any of the speeches that were given during this vote?
In regards to the Patriot Act?
Yeah.
Was it one of those bills that was passed real quick? Or
well, it was actually like this current voting where it failed just yesterday. How we're talking about, and Dennis Kucinich apparently rallied some of the actually literally the Tea Partiers, saying if you vote for this, you're massive hypocrites because of all the shit you're saying, and so so I thought that was hilarious too. That it's like you're having those energies, like we're saying, kind of colliding, and this thing, and you're seeing it even on the level like where we wouldn't. I honestly, without looking into it, like intuitively or anything, I thought they were gonna pass this shit again. And so seeing this is like, wow, there is hope. This is awesome.
Yeah, I saw that. You might have posted it, and someone else might have, and I saw it. I thought about commenting with a little, hooray, but I didn't want to jinx it. It was just too hot,
Yeah. It's cool though. I mean, I think I'm not sure if you'd agree with this too in terms of those energies of like how you feel it relates to this perception of time. And actually, I had a question in the chat room about your take on the concept of sands of time, and so how does that figure into what you're talking about in terms of what's being demonstrated in Egypt right now and such?
Sands of time, and Egypt. It's the concept of time. From my research, my channeling, and my discoveries was that it ends at sixth dimensional consciousness, which is where your third eye is, and that we would have reached that point if we continue on this path in 2013, and we'll be learning about that in 2013. And it's a difficult concept to talk about now because it's at that point where there's cloudiness surrounding it. But the sands of time, and like the Prince of Persia, is well, in truth, time, if you can get to that level, it really doesn't exist. It's just like that movie Event Horizon. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Actually, I do remember that movie. Yes.
Yeah, where you can fold space and then time can come together.
Yeah.
Granted, there's a whole lot of stuff that has to take place. For me.
Yeah, well, no worries there, Greg. We actually just had an astrophysicist kind of explain that to everyone on Tuesday. So, and he didn't have that good of success either because it's all one of those like, what the fuck kind of things.
It's in the future. Ironic because it's about time.
Isn't it? I know, huh? Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So that's but yeah, we kind of digressed there a little bit from what you're talking about. So, is there any more thoughts you wanted to share on Egypt in terms of this upheaval? And because how you're saying it obviously is more than just Egypt too, because you have Tunisia, you have actually even into the Mediterranean with Greece. You have Yemen and all these countries as well. And there's more, I know, and there's some in South America too. This is going on. So yeah, and I know you said you've been into astrology for many years too. Does this correlate with what you're finding astrologically as well?
There's the whole 2012 thing. There are very, very important astrological transits in regards to big ol', if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't looked at it in a little while, but it's a cardinal cross, and that's when you have all the leading signs, which are the cardinal, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, squaring off. So if I'm wrong, someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's the concept behind it, and that's just a general. But in regards to right now, I am. There's no specific astrological transits that I'm aware of personally. I'm sure they're happening, but that are causing the Egyptian uprising. I haven't really looked into that one. But the importance of it, and what I really, really wanted to say, was that when that stuff comes to America, it's going to be way, way heavier. And that energy really is, you can see it moving forth around the globe. And America would be the last place it hits, like waves splashing, of consciousness, of energy. And when it does hit America, I think we will need to look at things a little differently because of how chaotic that situation can be. And what I wanted to get at with the overcoming duality was this concept of the battle of good and evil was what it was. And you got all these different forces conflicting. And in a nutshell, the transcending of duality, which is what a lot of spiritual teachers have told me about, and I struggled with years back, and I was like, yeah, right. And then I went on my journey, which taught me quite a bit. And essentially what I think is going to happen is, the New World Order is going to be like, wow, we can't control people. So what they do at that point is very critical, and what people do is critical in response to affecting what the New World Order would do. So that's why I have had visions of all-out chaos. Do you live in America?
Yeah, I'm actually in California, Southern California.
Oh, cool. Southern California. Okay. I've had visions of it a while back, and this whole battle between good and evil. And I made a quote the other day. The battle of good and evil will end, and when it does, good and evil will say, we have to work together towards a higher purpose. And that, to me, good is the higher chakras and feminine energy, and evil is masculine energy. And there is a lot associated with that and the lower chakras. And right now, we're in the middle. We are in between the masculine and the feminine focal points. And once we get to that heart chakra, we're going to see major transcendence, and that's going to be happening this year. So there's going to be some pretty miraculous things happening towards the end of 2011.
Yeah, I do definitely agree with that we're going to start seeing some pretty amazing things start happening for the better. And I can see how you're relating that in the sense of those chakra energies, or like right now we are kind of in that third area where we're having like manifestation, we're moving into that creation into manifestation center, you know what I mean? And so I can see how that's reflected in some of these upheavals too, where it's kind of the culmination of the root energy, which is all of the heritage and all other stuff, as well as all the creative energies in the second, and moving up into that. So yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah. When I sought higher guidance about this topic of transcendence duality, the initial intuition was too soon. So coming into the show and talking about this, I'm pretty sure that this concept is foreign, the idea of transcending duality, because duality right now is so powerful. Everything is left, right, everything is good, evil, everything is this, that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hectic. We are in the funk.
Yeah.
But saying that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was saying that. Yeah, that is true. And actually, I think it's a perfect timing for you to bring the concept of unity in, because it's like within any realm of polarity, to perceive poles has to be part of singularity or unity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I know what you're saying though, as far as the pervasiveness also of the dualistic existence, and which puts everyone at odds with each other.
Exactly. I saw a question there in the chat room.
Yeah, go for it. Which is
Can you ask? The visions that I saw in the United States, they were pretty scary. It was massive civil uprising. It was pretty much the enforcement of martial law, and beyond that, I couldn't really see much else. I saw naval warships moving in and out really fast. I saw people just losing their minds, and I saw a great necessity for unity, definitely. It was just madness, and that's really why I'm talking about this right now, because I don't want that. I don't want it to happen ugly. I want it to happen easily. But we do our best.
Quick question. So with these divisions, was this via like a meditation or a dream or funky herbal tip?
It was a dream, and it happened a long time ago actually, and that's what really woke me up because it was so real that I was like, wow, I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I have to help people. I can't just sit around and do nothing with my life. I have to go out there and talk, because there is some serious shit here. So.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I'm not sure if you follow the show or you're familiar with my story at all, but I'm a natural lucid dreamer, and so I've seen a lot of these into the futures, possible future, shall we say, and I always think it's interesting conferring with each other on these different visions, because I see like how I'm not a doomsday guy either, obviously, and at the same time I recognize that there's a likelihood of conflict in certain areas, and as we're seeing going on in the world right now, as we were just talking about earlier. But I don't know if you'd agree with me on this or not, but it seems to me that I think a lot of people tend to almost overblow some of those aspects of some of these. Because, for instance, like and I don't know, maybe we can discuss this, because like for me personally, I don't see it being feasible for martial law to be implemented in America just due to logistics alone of how thin our military is spread. Yeah. So you know what I mean, stuff like that. So but I agree that it seems like we're definitely going through a shift there, that there will be conflicting interests, as we're seeing. But yeah, that's interesting. Was like when I'm curious too about this vision. So what did you see, like ultimately, like when all the kind of crap was dealt with? What did you see kind of coming to? How did you see that change facilitating?
Well, in regards to what you were saying just before, about martial law being difficult to implement, I agree, and that is what makes this situation scary, because of the difficult situation that the globalists are put in, because they have an itchy trigger finger, and they have a great assortment of weaponry. So it's up to people to essentially bring in so much love energy to alleviate learning the hard way, to go into a higher way of being. Specifically in the vision, I just, what I saw was, and this is one possible reality, these people were just running crazy, and I saw police blocking off the streets. I pretty much, it was very simple, but very striking, and it really just seemed like utter chaos, and all the people who don't really know what's going on lost their shit. All those sleepers out there, they're like, oh, there's no NWO, there's none of that conspiracy stuff is really happening, right? Those people went nuts. And that's the irony, is because so many people within the truth movement are called crazy. So it's the amount of madness which can be stirred is which is what gives me the great emphasis to imply such a message of love and peace towards the whole thing.
Yeah. Very very cool. Because ultimately everyone does have to move into that really stagnant center one way or another of creation, and kind of really, and we'll have to focus more on who we really see ourselves as, and what we want to do and create, because that's really what we do. We create, you know what I mean? And so absolutely. We actually did have a question from the chat room, since drawing upon your astrological knowledge concerning what do you think about concerning your thoughts on Pluto and Uranus?
Pluto is in Capricorn. It's in the beginning stages, and as a little man, or a cool man named Joseph Aguirre, he helped me out with that in regards to telling me about how that was affecting me. So thanks, Joe. And Uranus, where is Uranus right now? It's going to go back. It's either in Aries. I think it's going back into Aries this year. I think Pluto and Uranus are going to be squaring off later on in 2011, and whenever that happens, it's Pluto is transformation and Uranus is revolution, and when they're at odds with each other, you just get a great deal of change. So, as a general topic, whenever Pluto and Uranus are either in a conflicting aspect, which is a square, or harmonious, there is a great deal of change.
Interesting. So, and I find that, I think that's probably, once again, it's, the timing of the subject matter you want to speak on is, well synchronized there too. So, because we're coming up on March here very soon. So.
Yeah. Is that? Oh, Joe was saying that, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Chat room there. In terms of some of the convergences that are going on, and yeah, we have I think a lot of people in this arena are obviously a little keen on astrology, so it's kind of neat because it's like, we have this sort of pool of comprehension from Western astrology to Vedic astrology to Eastern astrology, and so it's all cool because we're all talking about the same damn stars, anyways. So.
Yeah, we are.
So,
I mean, it sure would be freaky if they were different ones.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about how, the different systems. It's like, well, no one's emitting stars. It's like, no, we're not going to count, the Big Dipper. It's like, no one's really doing that. They're just calling the formation something different. You know what I mean? So. So yeah. But we actually have I'm sorry. We kind of digressed there. Was there we were talking. I know we were talking a little about Egypt. I know you said there were some more things that you would like to discuss too.
The next thing I was going to want to go into was the concept of twin flames, but I'll take a question.
Oh, okay. The question is, please explain what duality is, why it's needed, and why do we need to transcend it? What will we have in its place? Should we get away from good and bad and neutralize, or should we get away from comparing both? It's a multi-tiered question.
Thank you, Tamra, because I couldn't come up with a way to question it myself, so I did need that. What duality is 3D, and that's a world in which the solar plexus is the highest you'll get chakra-wise. Or conversely, you start from the heart and you are completely ungrounded and you go up to the third eye. So none of you're either operating from the top three chakras or the bottom three chakras. And you're going to be split no matter what. And that's pretty much how we've been living for thousands of years. There have been people who have transcended it, ascended masters throughout the centuries personally, but on a global level, it's never fully taken place. In the place of duality, we have full reality, and that's when all of the chakras are aligned and fully functioning, and essentially the human being has complete life within the physical world. And the implications of what can happen when you completely transcend duality and have all of your chakras activated could be pretty major in terms of health and lifestyle and what it could mean for the human body and our everyday lives, as far as extraordinary differences in regards to now where people die so young and there's so many diseases. Good and bad. The thing about good and bad, good and evil, light and dark, is that good serves a purpose and evil serves a purpose. Like this whole new world order. If they weren't there, we would not be going into a new reality. They serve as the dark aspect. And I actually wanted to reference Jalila Starr, the Nibiruan Council. She did a lot of work several years ago, and she still does, about light and dark. And it was really good, but it's difficult to understand if you don't have the eyes to read it. So I'm trying to simplify it here. Maybe the first, hopefully, I don't know. But good and evil can't exist without each other. And in the highest states of reality, everything is one. And the real epic part about all of this is that this whole scenario, from what I've seen and from what I've heard from Edgar Casey,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure, he talked about it in the last Earth cycle, which was apparently 26,000 years ago, Atlantis and Lemuria. And then I heard some stuff from Drunvalo, Melchizedek, and stuff like that. But essentially, at that time, humans weren't ready to transcend duality. And there was this epic apocalyptic scenario, and it's all embedded in our DNA. And that's why we all want this big change to happen now, because of our ancestors and how they lived through it and all died, et cetera, et cetera.
Uh-huh.
Essentially, it was, if I'm not mistaken, the children of the law of one, which were representing the light, the good, the feminine, and then the sons of Belial, if I'm not mistaken, and they were the dark, the evil, and the masculine. And they just killed each other. Or something happened. No one really knows. Drunvalo Melchizedek came out pretty recently, and he hit some nails on the head, but no one really knows everything in full. Maybe the Freemasons do, and I hope they tell us. But that was kind of my stance on duality in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I think once again, the more discussion we have on what that really means, and then what the transcendence of what that can possibly imply, really needs to be discussed.
Yes.
Because where else is it discussed, honestly? So
nowhere.
Exactly.
It's such a hot topic.
Other than Universal Truth Evolution on blogtalkradio.com. So, but
I can go into a little bit more. Right
yeah,
now.
Yeah, please.
The whole concept of twin flames, which has been really big for me recently, I broke it down last night with a lady friend of mine, and we figured out, where we came to this conclusion, that the twin flame concept is a big illusory scenario. The truth about twin flames is that you are your own twin flame. You unite your own masculine and feminine, your own light and dark within yourself, and then you can just pick whoever you want to be with. That was the concept that we came up with, and that's real hot. That's last night.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
I kind of lost what I was talking about.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, we were talking about duality, and then then you brought up the concept of the twin flames. So I'm not sure you want to take it from there. Although I do appreciate the point of view of like being our own twin flame, and understanding that dualistic self, so to speak, and then to bring that into unity. So
I suddenly remembered.
Awesome.
Cool. The implications of what happens when we do transcend duality is really, really interesting, because when the physical body can fully be immersed within the cosmic energy, all of the chakras activated, everything is going, it brings one to wonder what that means for your health, what that means for what you can do in the physical world, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a possibility that if we can fully ascend, fully transcend duality, that we can become immortal. And that was like the whole Jesus Christ, death and rebirth. I think that was just basically him saying, yo, I transcended duality, I can't die, what's up? And the various other ascended masters throughout the years. And that was another thing that Drunvalo was talking about with Lilu Mace, actually, in a recent interview, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So, was there any more thoughts you wanted to share on the concept of duality or unity, actually, since that kind of is the progression, if you will, or another understanding? Great.
I'd love to, but I can't. I think that there are people out there that definitely want to ask some questions right now. So feel free. I mean, it helps definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, it's kind of it's good. I think you're just picking up on that. So because I had the chat room kind of down for a second, and yeah, there's a question here. Lo and behold, good call there, Greg. So it has to do with if you're familiar with the 12 chakra system of Egypt.
The 12 chakra system. I've heard of the 12 chakra system and the 14. I've heard of that, yeah. And from what I understand, that's the chakras which are in your body, which is beyond physical. And from what I've seen, each time you activate a chakra in the physical body, one is activated in the higher body. So if you're fully ascended within the physical body, you are also fully ascended in the higher body, the higher self. And that's the concept of as above, so below, in a nutshell. Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense in terms of some kind of, if channels, more open channels to chakras happen here, and it makes sense that certain pathways would open up, multidimensionally or hyperdimensionally, however you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have another question. If you're familiar with a book by Richard Tarnas called Cosmos and the Psyche.
Was that guy interviewed recently?
Not by us.
Might have been Red Eyes Creations or one of the others. I'm not sure, but I have heard of that. I would love to know more.
Well, that's cool. There was a good plug right there. There was an unsolicited commercial by the Universal Truth Evolution.
And I hate when I do that.
So, it's all good. I mean, really, it's kind of like I think even stuff like that, honestly, I think helps people find a good line of information, because if everyone's going, oh yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. I think it's like, all right, out of the thousands of books on the subject, now I got somewhere to go. So we have a question about if the chakra system if it matters in the fifth level of density is the question. Does the chakra system matter in the fifth level of density?
Totally. Oh yeah. Is that Thomas Don Williams?
That
He's
would
on
be.
my friend list.
That'd be Tom.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and there's gonna be an influx of the fifth chakra, fifth dimensional energy in 2012, and that's the blue energy, that's the spiritual energy and the karmic energy.
Huh. Yeah, very cool. We actually have another question about if you can do psychic readings on the air.
Sure. I guess depending upon the specificity. Yeah. I would prefer to do it if it's something that would benefit not only the individual but also collective consciousness.
Ah, yeah, of course, definitely. Well, all right, cool. I mean, if anyone has a question now, or if they want to, call in, by all means, we have our call-in number. You can Skype in by clicking on the website link there, or calling in at 661-621-7530. Or get your question ready, and then we'll come back in the second hour, and we can get that going on too. So we have about 5 more minutes till the break. So we usually take a little musical break at the top of the hour, allow everyone to get a drink, do whatever. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, maybe we'll get some inquiries about that. But yeah, so I guess in this last 5 minutes, is there anything that you might want to go off about here?
Let me see. There's there's a guy here named, he sent me a private message, maybe might be a woman, Hoist Styler, asking if I've had an LSD or DMT type of experience. And I have. And it does, as a psychic, help you become more in touch with your intuitive faculties. And I only ask, yes. So yes.
Cool. We actually do have a caller right now if we want to take him.
Sure.
All right, cool. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, how are you? I don't know if I'm in the right one. I was Legitamystic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hi, I was just wondering, I heard you say earlier about good and evil, can exist without each other. And I was just kind of wondering, if that's the case, I see that we're all striving for world peace and things like that. So we do accomplish that. I'm just thinking, what are your thoughts on that? How can they not exist if that's what we're striving for?
That voice sounds really familiar. Sounds like my friend Cass.
My name is Linwood.
Linwood. All right. That's cool. But the transcendence of good and evil is something which comes when we respect and accept the lesson of both. That all aspects of reality can train us to ascend to a completely different level of existence and mastery and essentially bliss and awe and enlightenment.
Okay.
Did I answer? Was that good? Or evil? I'm not sure.
Well, I think you satisfied him because he said, "Oh, okay," and then now he hung up. So thank you for calling very much. Thank you. We always appreciate input, of course, here on Universal Truth Evolution. And so that was pretty sweet. We got a caller, got some questions. We still have a couple minutes. So you have any thoughts to leave everyone pondering before we go take a musical break? And that was to you, Greg.
Yeah.
All right. All right, everyone. Well, what Greg said he'd be happy to do give anyone a psychic reading if they wanted to call in. You have a question, preferably if it'd be like something that has to do with creating something cool and new for the future. But yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and just have our little musical break here. And we'll come back. Actually, wait a minute. I think our caller might have gotten kicked off. That could have been what happened too, Greg. Let me see, because I think they just called back. Hello,
cool.
Caller. You're back on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, you're on Universal Truth Evolution.
Yeah, I got a question for Greg. This is Jacob.
Ah, okay.
Yo.
Go.
Greg, I was wondering, because I was making a video, because I'm into special effects, CG. I was making a video about the Kundalini effect and the awakening of the chakras. I was wondering, do you believe the possibility of visual media being a healing medium, like color, light, and sound as a...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's a good question. What I've been learning recently is that light is a catalyzer as well as somewhat of a solvent. If I'm not mistaken on the science logistics terms there, but yeah, light in and of itself, as I'm learning with orgonite, which is something I should talk about, that it does affect everything in reality. So yeah, just seeing something, when that actually enters into your eyes and goes into your brain, there's an effect which I do not fully understand yet, which does change everything. So yeah.
Wow. Well, that's really deep. That actually made me think of combining
art with organite.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely. That's actually that'd be a great subject to talk about in the second hour, because actually I was actually thinking about contacting you anyways, Greg, about that, because that's something I wanted to do myself, do some organite and actually integrate the art, just like I'm sorry, what was your name called? Jacob? Is that what it was? Jacob, yeah. Exactly what Jacob said too. To really kind of have a different, even a more different resonance, different harmonics going on there too, on different levels of perception.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great idea, Jacob. We came to the right place here. We're just like, yeah, rock on. So.
Yeah, thanks, man. Definitely talk about organite and what was the other thing you said?
Light.
Damn, I forgot. It had to do with organite. But yeah, you gotta push the organite definitely along with the art. But thanks for taking my call, guys.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for calling very much. Cool.
Okay.
So great. Had a couple of callers there, and this is a perfect time for a break now. So hang loose, everyone. We're going to play one of our favorites in our slowly expanding library of musical tunes here. So just rock on, everyone. We'll be back in about 5. into our second hour here on Universal Truth Evolution on blogtalkradio.com. So we're here with our guest today, Greg Von Haesler, talking about a variety of subjects, different ways, different places, all different kinds of things, including the happenings of what's going on in the world today, and so much other interesting things, including things we might be able to hold, like where we left off at the end of the hour, which was talking about orgonite, which I find very fascinating too, and I think it would be a great subject to get into here. Just after I remind everyone that Greg is available to do a reading if you want to call in, or if you just want to call in and ask a question or elaborate or talk to us about any of the subjects we're talking about here, feel free to do so. But until then, Greg, hope you enjoyed the break, and let's talk some orgonite.
It was good.
Awesome.
I got organized.
Very good, very cool, and it goes along with the orgonite. So either way, if you want to talk about orgonite first, or you want to talk about whatever else you got there, take it, buddy.
I'd love to jump into orgonite. It is the best concept to talk about during this topic of inquiry, because from what I've noticed from orgonite, it effectively transcends duality in the way that it operates. And I'm no expert, but I know a lot of people involved in the orgonite movement online and in person. And orgonite is it's a substance. It's crystals, metal that you can get from any True Value hardware, from any machine shop for free, shavings, and fiberglass resin that you can also get from True Value hardware or Home Depot. It's pretty hunky-dory fabrication to create. It's really simple, really silly, really easy. And I've got some orgonite right here, and I've got some pics on my website as well of the pyramids and of all the other pieces, pendants. And I've been working with orgonite for about a month now, and maybe longer, I'm not sure, but officially. And what it does is, it was developed by Wilhelm Reich in I'd say about 50 years ago, and it's a development of inorganic material and organic material, and what he used was cotton and I believe steel to create his orgone machine, and he also created something called a cloudbuster. And what orgone does is it sucks in energy, and then it shoots out energy. So that right there is a masculine and feminine action. It draws in like the feminine, and then it shoots out like the masculine. So it's kind of like a little transcending device in and of itself for energy. And what it does is it gives you harmonious, balanced, alive energy, which makes it feel good.
Interesting. Very cool. Could you maybe go into a little bit of the construction of like how so you said you can gather the materials from like Home Depot or Ace Hardware. Like how much do you need? Do you need like a cup or a gallon? No, I mean, how much do you really kind of need to effectively make something like this?
Well, a can of propane lighter fluid. I'm not sure how many ounces that is, but the size of it. That's all you need to make a nice supple amount, which would effectively cover about. I can't really go into the specifics. I'm not really sure, but I have a few pounds of it at my house, and that's with the crystals and the metal inside of it, and that takes care of my house. But people are making these things called cloudbusters, which is really about $50 worth of resin, and that'll take out in what some people say miles and miles, hundreds of miles. So the way you make it does affect it, actually.
What would be could you go into maybe some of the applications of what one could use this for?
Yeah, healers can use it because it keeps their energy pure. If there's any dead energy, it gets sucked into the orgonite and gets shot out as healthy energy. Any people who want to get more in touch with their intuitive faculties, I recommend using it for. Psychic sensitives, as is, I recommend because it keeps you more in touch, and it keeps you in a harmonious vibration where you can't really get messed with by beings which are vibrating very low, various entities and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And then what the application with clouds? Are you familiar with that? Like, how does that work, or what has some of the reports been about the applications of orgonite and clouds?
Well, I think that the dynamics and physics of clouds are very affected by etheric energy, and that's the field which orgonite operates within. The ether, the orgone, the scalar, the torsion, the odic force, all different names for something which is very common or very similar as defined throughout recent time. And I think the application of cloud busting, in my opinion, and how it affects weather is more so along the lines of saying, hey, this shit works. Like, look. So, people using it to alter weather and stuff like that, which may even have some implications for HARP. I don't know, but that could be the same technology used in an entirely different way. So weather manipulation is really saying, hey, we can mess with this stuff because it's real. So it has a lot of validity for saying that it works.
Interesting. Yeah, I would. I'm actually curious and wanted to start doing some tests of my own. I'm actually familiar with creating stuff using resins and all kinds of other kind of fabrications. So it just looks kind of cool to me. So it's like, so that's why I love the idea of the integration of the art. Because I can see kind of making a mold where it essentially has a sacred geometry kind of pattern inlaid into it. You know what I mean, and stuff like that, and just some fun ideas, which I just want to see. I want to see more of it, like from other people, just because I just love seeing other people's creations too, and I think there's room for everyone. So I think it's just a cool concept, to play around with, and if it has positive applications, then hell yeah. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there anything else that? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to add that it's really, really powerful, and initial application, if you're not accustomed to it, can be pretty overwhelming, and it can actually put you through a pretty big physical detox, big time.
That's interesting. So is that kind of what happened in your own? Did that happen to you, or is this what have you heard from people who have used it in various, or have had it in various ways?
It happened to me, and it has happened to a lot of people that I've heard that worked with it, and it really gave me some indigestion, big time. And but the specific physical applications of orgone energy are really cool. Like if I put a pendant in my beanie, if I have a headache, the headache goes away.
Interesting. That's cool. That's cool. So have you found any with difference between the material yourself and the ones you've made now?
Yeah. My friends have said that the orgonite that I made was good. And I was like, well, why? Why would my orgonite be any better? And a lot of people that were talking about that, so good. I'm like, yeah, right. But what I've saw or seen is that the person who's making the orgonite, if they're a healer, and if they can set their intention to when the resin is hardening, when that resin, which contains the crystals and the metal, you put a hardening solution in it, and then it turns into a mold. When it does that, it fuses on a molecular level the energy that you were thinking about when you were standing next to it, as it was hardening. So I'm a part-time healer. It's not, what I do, but from what I've made, I put that healing energy into it, and it definitely, the individual who makes the orgonite will have a huge effect on how that orgonite operates.
Interesting. And does the actual the type of metal versus the type of crystal, does that also have an effect?
Yeah. Aluminum, I've noticed it has a lot to do with light, and like Jacob was talking about, that the more reflective that it is, the more energy it's going to shoot out. So aluminum being very reflective, gold, copper, all those metals which are really shiny, which is an aspect of light, has very strong energetic implications. So those metals tend to function better.
Interesting. That's cool. It's good to know. Yeah, so I don't know, is there anything else you wanted to add on that subject, or is there another thing on your list to do there?
If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, but I feel pretty content with it.
Cool, yeah, I don't see any questions popping up specifically on the orgonite anyways. Actually, I don't really have no new questions have been posted yet, so feel free to post your questions there in the chat room if you got any. And but I know there are some other topics that you want to broach upon on your on your open platform here. So
yeah,
by all means.
Am I missing any beats? Like, was there anything that was written into the premise of this that I haven't gotten into yet?
I know we talked. A lot of it was concerning duality and unifying, consciousness in the sense. I know we talked pretty in depth on that, and we talked about Egypt. So, yes, I mean we're definitely on target here. So I guess it's really just kind of elaborating on anything, or if there's anything that you really just want to talk about, really.
Mhm. Okay. Well, yeah. Questions? Feel free calling in. It helps because it stimulates the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's one thing actually. There's one thing I'll report on real quick, because obviously I'm not sure how many people saw this, but because it just happened recently, because Egypt's President Mubarak was making his announcement concerning his regime, shall we say, and he's not leaving. So he's like fuck all you guys. I'm not leaving. And he gave his power over reportedly to his vice president, but he's not leaving. So the implications of this are pretty big, because I'm sure now there's even bigger protests going on right now, and so this is going to get even more interesting. And we're seeing now, Greg, I'm sure how you've been watching this too, because I think everyone is watching the military, because the military isn't moving on anything, and so that's good. You know what I mean? That's definitely good that they're not moving. So if they start though, then it's going to get really nasty, and I can see that in terms of United States involvement, it's going to get weird, because people are going to, the does. They're going to be like, we need to get in there and install our democracy, blah, 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 while the rest of us are like, you are stupid. We have other wars going on, thank you very much, and that's Egypt. we already have too many fucking bases everywhere. So,
yeah.
So yeah, it's this is it looks like this is going to be ongoing. If he stepped down, I can see how things would probably just calm down a little bit more. But with this guy staying in, it's crazy. And I'm not sure if everyone's necessarily familiar with this, so I'll just kind of bring you up to date once again or reiterate. This man has been in power for over 30 years as president with emergency powers. In a sense, kind of like what happened with the Patriot Act. And so that's why mentioning that today concerning Congress not extending it for the time being. This is we're seeing parallels, and it really works into today's theme because we talk about the duality and how duality can even be applied to things like different dimensions of perception and dimensions of reality, or countries. So here we're having some interesting reflection going on. So I don't know if you had any comment on this kind of breaking news here about Mubarak deciding to stick it out.
No, I definitely do. My initial intuition was that Mubarak, he knows that what he's doing is a gamble. I can immediately sense that. You probably did too.
Yeah.
But even more so, the New World Orders, I can sense that the globalists, because Hillary Clinton called a big old meeting the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you heard of that. I'm sure a lot of people here did. They know now. I mean, because they probably, have people that listen to this stuff. They understand what's going on. They're smart. They know that a lot of the stuff that they've been trying to implement is totally just going down the crapper. And that people aren't going to accept what they are going to give if it's forced and if it sucks. So what I see right now is these globalists. I see people in New World Order. They're like, shit. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely worried right now. They are, and right now, I mean, I think we're okay. After this has gone on for a little bit, this is what I'm guessing. This is my guess, whatever you want to call it. That then we're gonna see another sacrificial lamb thrown to the fire, because right now they're all turning in on each other because no one wants to be left holding the bag, So yeah, watch it. And I'm guessing it's either gonna be someone in the clergy or the banking system or the banking clergy people.
You mean they're just gonna take one of them out?
No, I mean it's like they're gonna be indicted. You know what I mean? Because I really don't.
Because they gotta. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. A lot of people in this, everyone jumps to the conclusion, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned that because of this realm that we're swimming in with super soldiers and psychic assassins and jump gates and sea gates and all this other stuff. People don't realize it's kind of like the political game is the collective consciousness show. It's like, hey, this is what we've all made by either our action or inaction. So it's kind of like, when it comes down to it, everyone does know who these people are, and but it's like, oh no, hey, you did that. No, hey, but I only did that because that's what they're doing right now, and so, but so that's kind of and I'm guessing I think it's going to probably be a banker though, because it's like, because I don't.
Yes.
That's my
guess. You're so right, because that's the thing that's been really going down lately was the banking systems.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'll probably be an international one this time because Madoff already got kind of crucified, and then so they'll try to blame him because I bet this is my guess, right? I'm just pulling this shit out my ass, okay? But it's like if I'm Mubarak's people, like you're looking to blame like the financial stuff because people are pissed off because they don't have any food or anything there, right? And so it's all the same stuff we're seeing here in the States. And so they're going to blame their financial structure, and then they're going to start looking to who financed the country. But you know how the people who very, very tippity top are so distant from that, they don't kind of give a shit, right? So there's someone in between there who's going to totally get crucified like Bernie Madoff.
You're right. Yeah, the middleman.
Yeah.
That's so true, though.
Yeah. But yeah, and
I gotta.
you know,
What do you
hmm?
were you thinking that you said? Well, you pretty much explained it, that the financial institutions are coming under the gun because the banks are kind of the go-between between the government and the people.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Is that true, or?
Well, the banks essentially, well, because like in a sense, well, they've kind of wedged themselves in. I mean, if we look at the situation like with the Fed, right? Because like we used to have a treasury, places had a treasury until they started getting swallowed up into the banking cartel. And so at that point, it was like everyone was borrowing from the same corporation, be you an individual or the government or another corporation. So it's kind of like either way, it's all kind of going to the same freaking people. And so it's like, yeah, there is that divide, though, because I know what you're seeing, right? You're seeing people in Congress down to city council saying, what? We don't have the money. Why? Where did it go? It doesn't vanish off the fucking planet. You know what I mean? It's going into someone's pocket. You know what I mean? It's going into someone's account. They're buying stuff and turning it into assets. And we see where this goes. But yeah, so a lot of ways, yeah, that's the banking system is definitely there, but and as we know, that kind of it branches off into all these other different corporations and interests, the big pharma, military, like I said, the clergy of all religions, you know what I mean? Because that's one thing I think it's funny too, like, people almost idolize the Dalai Lama, right? But the Dalai Lama still have a freaking religion, and he dines with all these leaders all the goddamn time. He's eating good. I mean, he's not sitting in the mountains meditating and not eating anything. And all these other things like that. And so we have to keep this in mind, that there is a bigger game going on, and all of it's tied to like what people think of as worth. And I think that's obviously what the big understanding we have to come to agreement on here is because we hear about the financial collapse and all this other stuff, and in a sense we're seeing that at different places like Greece. I know Portugal is kind of on that same brink too. And so, what is that telling us? We're relating this to energy now, right? Because, money being currency, right? And currency, energy. So it's like, we're putting our energy into something that has no worth because we have to redefine that for ourselves. What is worth on this planet to us, Yeah. And so I think it's interesting how, like you're saying, these different, moving into that manifestation stage energetically that you're talking about, where this money situation is obviously a big thing, because that is one of the things that brought Egypt here to what it is now.
Yeah, there's a pretty good possibility that at the higher levels of transcendence, as we go beyond this, the concept of money in and of itself is going to completely change. How? I'm not sure, but from what I understand, capitalism is a system that exists within the sacral chakra, and right now we're going into the heart, so I can only imagine that there would be great financial changes, and that probably would be the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a question up here in the chat room, and someone was saying, it felt pretty urgent, do you understand what all the ambassadors being called to D.C. was all about? And if I'm not mistaken, was that the same one that Hillary called a few days ago?
It could have very well been. I can try to verify that.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But it's just the New World Orders, the globalists, they see what's going on, and they should be actually talking to us. Is what at this point, there should be some kind of, there should really, and I know that's kind of a big deal to say, but there will need to be something like that taking place, where the truth movement and the globalists they're gonna need to exchange some words, and because it's getting so powerful now that they understand that, and all of their disinfo agents, they don't work. And people aren't listening to the crap anymore. People are getting smarter. So they understand now that they have to change their game. And if that means that they have to, kind of let some stuff go to avoid bad stuff happening to them, they will, because it's starting to get to that point where they're kind of scared that it's going to screw their lives up.
Yeah, and excuse me, I see what they're talking about. Yeah, Hillary Clinton called a meeting of all, was it 260 ambassadors, or from 200, almost 200, and and it's that is interesting, because I think that that like you're saying, that they are seeing a shift and they know it's coming, and so that's one thing. Like, okay, I want to make this clear that I'm not an Obama supporter nor detractor. Like I said, I think he is just being tugged and pulled in all those other ways, and he's a bit naive.
Oh yeah.
But I think Hillary Clinton is more aware, but like I don't, I'm really not sure about her, honestly, but I know she's more aware of what goes on behind the scenes than probably Obama.
Does. Yeah.
And so that's the thing, like, so something like this, I think this administration really is really trying to keep the ship together and keep it from crashing, because it was interesting. I'm just going to digress a little bit here, but just we're talking about politics in a sense. But like the Bush administration, there's a Rolling Stone interview with former President Bush, where this guy he admits he didn't know what the hell he was even signing. He didn't even know what people put in front of him to sign. So it was like this kind of, like, I was like thanking fucking God that we just didn't implode, because I'm like, fuck, I felt better when I thought he was maniacal. When I thought he was maniacal, because then he had a plan. On this one, it's kind of like, I don't know, we could just, it's like, fuck, oh my God. So now you have this new administration coming in that no one likes. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, and in terms of the conservative America, they're like, oh, screw this colored guy and some chick. You know what I mean? You have these like just assholes at them the whole time. And it's like, and so yeah, you're seeing them trying to hold this ship together, from what I'm seeing, and it's like, and it's actually pretty fucking humorous.
It is.
And because like you have people like Rahm Emanuel in there, you have a fucking Geithner in there. So I mean, I already knew that there was some nasty shit in that administration from day one, but it's kind of like, it's like, oh my God, it's just hilarious to me now. So,
well, isn't it ironic that Hillary Clinton is being given so much authority as a female, and we're talking about transcending the masculine and feminine?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was interesting, because, I know that she knows stuff, and I'm pretty sure that she's one of the figureheads who's thinking, we got to change something in order to alleviate Egypt here, so, or anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because considering like the what was going on with WikiLeaks, and then now our relations obviously with Egypt, with Greece, and Portugal. See, that's the thing, because it's like you have they have too many ties to the bankers who I don't know, helped rape those countries, so they're a little upset about that. And so I understand when people are upset at America, because we tend to financially screw them in the ass or bomb them or do both. So
you were so right about the bankers going down right now. Yeah. And I can really see that, though, as we enter the heart chakra in 2011, it's the financial institutions that are going to get hit first. It really is. Yeah,
yeah. Because honestly, I like, that they're going to be that's going to be the sacrificial lamb, because like Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex are too intertwined, so they kind of protect each other to some degree. But the bankers, there's some entwined there, obviously, but it's going to be like the high mucky mucks. So everyone else, fodder. You know what I mean? I think it's good that, as Americans, we recognize this and talk about, different perspectives, because we do have an international audience here. And so like, and I see the perceptions of Americans, and it's like, you know, we have to do, us, the regular citizens, have to make that change of perception to the world, because what they see of us is our military, you know what I mean, or our bankers, or our drug companies, you know what I mean, or our fast food companies, you know what I mean. It's like, you know, we have to bring.
I'm going to
more.
be pretty happy when the financial shift happens, and there's so much evidence of that right now. You know, the gold and silver is going up. I've seen it in different counties in America. People are getting rid of the dollar. Some people are like, we don't even want the dollar. I got a friend, and he knows real good about that. And the Fed, you know, Ron Paul is actually getting some good momentum with that within Congress. It's
yeah, definitely. The thing I would actually challenge everyone, our listeners here in the archive, is, you know what? We have to talk about a feasible replacement, though, because it's kind of like, because this is one thing that everyone says, well, gold and silver. Okay, how exactly are we going to do that? Because where is our wherewithal to purchase, say, gold and silver to put us on some kind of standard? And then you have to ask, okay, how are you going to do this without people saying, oh my God, you guys are all communist, socialist, fucking retards? Every time there's any kind of consolidation of resources under a government, whether they say, "Oh, we're socialists. Look at this. Oh, you want to actually be taken care of health-wise? You're a fucking socialist. Fuck you. Give me my goddamn antibiotics. You know, how about that, Dick?" You know.
And you know what? That is partially Alex Jones's fault.
Oh,
you know, he comes out with great information, man, but.
That's in the main media too. I mean, that's Fox.
Yeah.
That's, you know, everything. They're the socialists, and it's like, okay, riddle me this one. What's so bad necessarily about socialism versus freaking capitalism? You know what I mean? Let's examine.
No, two opposite ends of the spectrum, man. Seriously.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like, the capitalism sucks. So, you know, it's just not. It's not. You know, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, you know.
I'm sensing that socialism comes more from the throat chakra, and then the capitalism comes from the sacral. That the blue and the orange interplay there. That was just an intuition that I was getting.
Yeah, I can see that, you know. And it's interesting though, because once again, we talk about like what we want to see, but like I said, we really have to challenge ourselves to give practical solutions and not get hung up on stupid things like fuck. So I'm sorry, those out there in chat land and archive land, but get over the bad words, because that's part of the dogma that's controlling your mind. Free it. So, that being said, we need to talk about solutions, not going off about, you know, stupid things.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
and
I'm going to be
that's
outspoken about that, really, because it's just my own little pet peeve, because it's like I think people try to limit expression because there's some things we can't really put to words, especially when I have concepts for them, like this new financial concept. Because, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it's feasible to have people agree to say, okay, we're going to have a centralized wealth under the government, like United States government? Do you think we can get people to buy that again?
No. That is shifting right now, and it can either be easy or hard, and depending upon where it goes, I'm not exactly sure, but it's going to be a revolution of an idea of how we think of money, and it's going to go into energy and transference of energy between people. So if we look at it from the higher concept like that, money has always just represented energy. You know, we kind of said, hey, look, we have this energy here, but the truth is that the energy was always inside of us. So how that can be applied to the financial perspective, I'm not sure, but that's the truth of money. It's always represented energy. And if we see that it's really just saying, hey, I've got energy, people might look at it differently.
Yeah, that's true. And like how we were saying about, you know, money and currency, so to speak, and how it is just energy. And all things really are energy. So, and yeah, and I totally, you know, can't say enough about trading and bartering. You know, I try to do that as much as I can. And, you know, you got to be cautious about it, of course, and make sure you're smart about it and you have stuff on paper. You know, so you have that trail. But yeah, it's very cool because you get things relatively cheaper too. You know, it's cheaper, you know, for you time wise, resource wise, for both people, and you mutually benefit. So
and another thing about money, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, go ahead, please.
Is that the whole money system is based off of a dualistic concept of finite energy. And if we can get to the point where we realize everything is infinite and everything is infinitely abundant and the universe never stops expanding, then there is no finite concept of energy anymore, and people wouldn't be necessarily battling over resources. And another thing, I was very glad that you're emphasizing solutions, because people have just been going way too hardcore on problems, and that's got to end.
Yeah, definitely. We actually do have a caller here. Let's see.
Cool.
See what's up with them. Hello, caller. You are on Universal Truth Evolution.
What's up? Can you hear me?
Hey, can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, this is actually yeah, I can hear you fine. Are you hearing us?
I don't
okay?
actually know which of my microphones is actually the one working right now. I've used Skype like twice before, so you gotta forgive me. As long as you can hear me. Can you hear me well or what?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I won't even bother if you can't hear me. All right. Well, I don't know. Okay. I know you're suggesting that I call in on this one. I find it very appropriate as of what's been going on today. You know what? I got all grounded out and I wasn't going to say nothing, but when you started talking about money, I decided to interject a point I kind of thought of the other day. And I was thinking how it's kind of interesting with the capitalist system. You think about it, it's actually based on deception. Like
it is.
Everything you're trying to, you're trying to put a slant on something. You're trying to say, you know, you're getting a good deal, or you know, this and that. But like all these little things that are bombarded in your head in society, it just seems so phony, and it just seems like, you know what I'm trying to say. It's just very, very deceitful. And it's just, I don't see how that can be seen as, you know, something constructive, energetically. I don't see this as how we should be exchanging our, you know, goods and resources, like, deceitfully like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like, it's just, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to interject and say that with the deceit and the capitalism ruling the sacral chakra, a lot of times deception as a negative function of the sacral can come from there. And as we progress towards 2012, when we actually get to the throat chakra, I could expect that, you know, a year from now, a year and a half, but I could expect that the concept of money will have been completely revolutionized by then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
There's
I'd like
a lot
to
of
see that.
lot of hurdles, like we're saying, because we have to get past some of the social dogmas of they're espoused by, like how you said, Alex Jones, Fox News, and this fear this fear of words. I mean, really, that's what it is again.
Yeah, just problems and problems and more problems is what they're spouting.
Yeah, and it's like, and what we're talking about, you know, I mean, I agree with you guys. I don't even necessarily think that we have to even necessarily have a central bank, like we don't have Fort Knox. We don't necessarily need Fort Knox. We just have to understand what we think is worth something, and how we going to exchange that within community, well, like inner community as well as international community. And I can understand that there might need to be some kind of tally system, which essentially in a balanced society, that's what money is, right? But like as we're saying, the deceit aspect of the inflation and the interest, you know, stuff like that, into stuff that just doesn't exist, wealth that doesn't exist. So that seems to be the problem. You know, it's almost like, that's one thing I try to talk about a lot too, is like, it's not necessarily the system. The system isn't necessarily that fucked up. It's the people who are actually in charge of it right now. Because by all rights and purposes, we are still progressing, and rule more, we can actually just, you know, go stars, like a lot of us say.
Yeah, wealth should really be a sovereign thing. It should be independently driven. We should have our own wealth, and by that, I would say personally owning gold and silver, so long as an economic system is in place And I mean, definitely. I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
Yeah, and so caller, well, it's cool we can identify you, right? This is Caveman Steve, regular listener. So,
what's up?
Yeah, so what's any elaboration you had there while we're on the subject here?
Oh, no, not really. I mainly, I had points about some stuff way earlier in the show, but I don't know, like, if it really needs to be addressed anyway, for myself anymore anyway, but I don't know, like, I guess I could mention it. Like, I just have to really say, like, I really, really do, like, totally agree with your standpoint on, like, all the energies and stuff. Like, I was just having kind of a moment today of, like, kind of a eureka moment of, like, trying to understand how the male and feminine aspects, like, balance each other out. And it's just, like, I feel like from various things I've read over the years, or just opinions of others, they almost want to demonize the male, but I can't do that because my whole life I've been, so shy and, like, lacking confidence and, like, like how male energy has really helped me, be more of a healthy human being, like
of course.
I'm not even talking about, like, going on and just doing whatever ambitious things you want to do with your life, whatever ego things you want to talk about. But you're talking about, like, stuff like bringing the truth to people. Like, you got to be an extroverted, brave person to get out there and get shit done, Like, you got to have that fucking fire. You got to have that male energy. Like, you want to talk about this, like, you want to demonize this male aspect. You want to talk about just, like, sitting on a rock, closing your eyes and meditating and just going into the void and just saying, fuck it all, like, this is all that matters. Yeah. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. What are we doing here? Like, if you don't care about, like, like, male energy, it's just, like, you might as well just stop listening to, like, music. You might as well just forget about those times you were inspired by anything, because these are creations, these are creations. You know what I mean? Like, I love male energy. I'm an artist, I love creating things, and I use that as an outlet for the feminine energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great point, man. Great point, yeah.
So you cultivate
I was going to go in and say, I'm sorry. I was going to...
Yeah, go ahead, please.
That the great expression for what I do with the feminine and masculine, the balance that I come forth with, is all of my work, the psychic work, the astrological work, the intuition, the channeling from my higher self. That's all feminine. That's all introversion, and that's all done within myself. But then I take those golden nuggets that I draw from the feminine, and I masculinely extrovert them out into the universe and share them with people. So, yeah, you definitely need both aspects to really be a functional human being.
Yeah. Yeah, balance, and I think through that balance we create harmony, which you can say is a sense of unity as well.
Oh yeah.
And so, definitely interesting perspective. So I'm glad you brought that up again there, Steve. And so it's cool actually to get, like I said, the different takes on some of these things. So I don't know, was there any other points earlier that now we got you online that you wouldn't mind commenting on?
Oh God, I don't know. Like, there's so many things, but it's just hard to like. I'm just trying to let it flow right now. But I don't know, man. I just like I can't express enough how like just like being like that male energy that allows you to kind of roll with the punches of life and go on and just be that great loving spiritual being you want to be. Like it's such a great thing to. I can't say enough about just having just, a little bit of extra willpower, it really makes life a lot more enjoyable.
I really liked how you talked about how the male energy is demonized, because I was referring how it does represent the dark and the evil aspects,
right,
what people
right, I know
so commonly dualize things in. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like I kind of find it hard to really say anything's really evil, because it's just like I got, so much crap's happened to me that I got to the point where it's just like I don't really care. Like, I mean, I see it as something that helps my growth anyway, and just like, everybody's just trying to do their thing, and you know what? Like, I don't really hold it against them if they try. Am I alone here when I say I'm not mad that I'm being like manipulated outright by like say my boss or somebody? If somebody's utilizing my home again, I'm not going to get mad. I'm just going to say, well, that's just what it is,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like these guys aren't demons to me. They're not bad guys. They're just people that's just as confused as the rest of us.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's a good perspective to share on that subject, because I think a lot, especially how I was saying, if we're talking about masculine expression, how we're talking about earlier, how it's programmed into a lot of males to deal with stuff through anger. So it's like when you're talking about having that alternative perspective, which you can say is actually a feminine expression within that masculine energy. I mean, you kind of understand where that balance is, where it's not necessarily on-off. It's like within any on-off, there's now another on-off within that bandwidth. You know what I mean? And then within each on or off in there's also an on-off in that. You know what I mean? So it kind of keeps going on and on. And,
never-ending duality.
Which in itself is just one picture, which is the unity.
Exactly. Great points. Great points all brought up there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, cool. Is there anything either of you guys now, since we got a little bit of a roundtable discussion here? Anyone want to throw something out? We got about another 5-6 minutes here to kill. So, anything pressing on anyone's mind? Greg, Steve.
Steve?
You know what? I'm thinking about it. You know what? Okay, just like a couple things. Again, just like on the male and feminine here. Like, give me a second. I'm just trying to put it in a direct line here. Yeah, okay. So, like, here we are. We're alive of that much, well, I guess that's a perception in itself, but we're all experiencing something or other, right? And, like, you want to talk about, the spiritual ascension and this and this and that, and you want to create a brighter future, exactly, whatever. We're all into that. So what that entails is that tells me that, since you're taking part in the experience, this experience of energy, of, fractally patterns, that means, like, again, it brings up this issue of male energy. Well, just the idea of, like, power and stuff. And I remember how I used to be in the Qigong and stuff. I'm trying to get back in it more regularly, but what happened was I lost that power lust. But, what I'm just trying to say is, like, it's just, like, you cultivate this energy, and, like, that can further your drive of, again, like, channeling that into healing energy for the planet and people, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, like, how is this a bad thing? If you're all part of this experience, you've chosen this experience, which, includes these fractally little male powers of, like, what I'm trying to say here is just, like, I don't see anything wrong. It's just like I don't see anything wrong with, like, inspiration, creating something. Again, creations, like, you could look at that like an egocentric, karmatic thing to create. But then, like, I think of, like, a beautiful thing, a beautiful art piece or a movie I've seen, and it's brought me to tears and made me realize the deeper part of my soul or something. And I can't see the male as something counter-spiritual. I see it as something integral and part of the entirety of that spiritual path.
Yeah, I can't agree enough there, Steve. And that was one of the points I was really raising on my response video to Jessica Schaub on my YouTube channel on Who's This or What Now, where I was talking about how that there is this lopsided almost view of how, like, we're talking about bringing in the more of the feminine energy, obviously, but it's almost like people are forsaking what it means to have balance of both the masculine and the feminine, and that's really the focus, And
that could be a disinfo campaign in and of itself, really, to separate, to divide, divide and conquer, the eternal plan.
Yeah, it's true, and that does actually work into some of the conspiracies concerning, some of the like the Illuminati religious aspect. You know what I mean? Where that
it could be
that
a New Age
work.
conspiracy.
Yeah, and that and the whole like the whistleblowers like Savali, and I know I'm missing another one who's been a guest with Aaron, but like where there's a whole religious aspect of the ritual and all this other stuff, where how that is kind of the slant they're going with. And it's to sort of like the Trump. It's that whole thing that they talk about Blue Beam and the Second Coming. It's like Trump the Second Coming with this whole with ISIS, I believe, is like the deity that they're kind of trying to replace, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
there could be more. Yeah, there could be a lot more to it with the feminization of society and what that could mean in terms of the New World Order and the New Age movement and what they're trying to bring into consciousness for people. I don't really know too much about it, but I'm getting latent intuition about it right now. But has to be balanced. We got to have both. We got to have the in and the out. That's the only way we're going to make it.
Yeah, definitely. So, any last thoughts to share there, Steve?
No, I'm just pretty much agreeing that, again, both the male and feminine need to work together. You think of instead of thinking of like two like forces at odds with each other, think of like yin yang or something. Think of some beautiful spiraling vortexy thing, you know what I'm talking about, something that's in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I can't get over it.
And that's the thing I really came to a conclusion about is people talk about vibration in ascension. And when you have a perfect balance of the masculine and feminine energy, you vibrate. And to me personally, that is when you're in an enlightened state, when you can meditate and get into that deeper sense of self where you can balance the forces within you. And then, you get into that perfect alpha wave state where everything just goes properly.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think, how we're talking a little bit in terms of expression of the masculine and feminine yin yang, how one can, glibly surmise the yang energy as being will and then the yin being of acceptance. And so I think that's that duality itself creates that dynamic, almost like how we're talking earlier about the orgonite. You have that sort of, push-pull sort of energy kind of going on there,
Yeah, you can't have too much acceptance and you can't have too much will. You can't be balanced or polarized to either side too much or else you're going to have conflict. And that's the real thing, is that if you have conflict in your life, you're polarizing to the feminine or the masculine. So no conflict exists with perfect harmony.
That's true. It's all part of the big dynamic tapestry, which is that painting or music. So, yeah. Very cool. Well, we are actually just about out of time here. So, thanks for calling in, Steve. It's always a pleasure. And your insight was definitely appreciated. But yeah, Greg has let our listeners know where they might be able to find you, and if you have any more appearances or any other projects that you want to let people know about, now is a good time to do that.
Yeah, I've recently been informed that I posted my stuff up there that I'm in a group called Insult to Injury, and we're probably going to be doing something on this, and the information for that's on my Facebook. And http www.practorical.webs.com. It's in the chat room.
Cool.
And I really just wanted to wrap up and say that all that stuff from Steve was great, and that the feminine and the masculine, it's I'm really impressed with the conversations that have went on here. It went on really good, really balanced. So, thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time here, and like I said, it's always fun to have interesting discussions about these various topics. And it was cool that we touched everything from energetics to politics. So very fun, very intriguing. So
masculine and feminine.
Absolutely. So, all right, everyone. Thank you once again for listening to us here on Universal Truth Evolution on blogtalkradio.com. Be sure to head over to universaltruthevolution.com to see all of our upcoming shows, the links to our archives, as well as upcoming articles and other events and goodness. So, until then, I will see everyone next week at our usual time, usual place, doing the usual thing we do, which is bringing information that major media is really afraid of, like scary things, like spirit and extraterrestrials and bad words. So we're not afraid of those things here, and we tend to rock on. So all of you out there, rock the fuck on too.
atomic weight.